Welcome to Mobile Testing in a Device Cloud webinar. My name is Denis. You may see some information about me on your screens. You probably saw me on recent InflectraCons, and I hope to see you on the next InflectraCon this autumn. So with this information set, I am starting the webinar. The agenda for today is to talk about mobile testing in a device cloud. So first, we will talk a bit about differences between local and cloud devices. So why to use cloud devices? Why would you want to go to the cloud and pay for it? Then we will talk about how to connect to a device cloud using Rapise. And we will record and execute a very simple test. And then I will show you how to orchestrate execution of tests on multiple devices with Rapise and with SpiraTest as well. So let's see, when we are just starting our mobile testing efforts, it is good to use a local device. So this is a low-cost solution. So this is definitely a good point. So you may install Appium on your machine. You may connect Rapise to this instance of Appium and record and execute your simple tests. So the benefits of using local devices is local cost. The device itself is physically reachable. So if something does not work through automation, you may do it just using your fingers. And why it is low cost is everyone has some old phone, and you may connect it to your Mac machine, or if it is Android, you may connect it to a Windows machine. And this is a very low barrier to start mobile testing. And also, it doesn't require any external network connection. So you may do this in your intranet, and you may do mobile testing even when you are on a plane. So hopefully, we will soon start traveling again, and this will be the case, the benefit of using a local device. But there are some cons of going with local devices. And the first I would mention here is high maintenance costs. So you need to do configuration yourself. You need to update Appium from time to time. You need to update operating system on your device. And sometimes operating system and the Appium version are not compatible, and it can be a real headache. And also, since it's your local device farm, that very likely it will have a limited number of hardware and operating system version combinations. And it is good when you are just starting. So you may have just one operating system version. You may develop your tests, feel how it is to do mobile testing. How long does it take you to create a test? So this is just for the beginning. When you are going to start executing your tests at scale, then you will probably need to go with some device cloud, because maintaining a device cloud yourself is a time-consuming and very complex task. So the pros for going with the cloud devices is access. First, it's access to a very large variety of hardware and operating system combinations. So any iOS version, any Android version, any device. So you have a lot of choices here. And it is zero maintenance costs. Here I mean that you don't need to invest your time to maintain the cloud of devices. And it is easy to configure and manage. So all the headache is on the shoulders of those who are managing and offering those cloud devices services. The con here is it can be an issue for small organizations, the cost of the cloud. So, when you are ready and you want to really run your tests at scale, then you probably will need some budget to go with the device cloud. So let's go next. What device cloud we have out there? So I would mention here those that I used myself, and I think that they are major ones. There may be others that I am not aware of. So they are Browser Stack, Cobaiton, South Labs, and CTest. So CTest is a former SpiraTest, and now it is a digital AI company. So those clouds are listed here in alphabetical order. So I don't know which one of them is best, and you may choose any of them or maybe some other device cloud. So why Rapise? Why to use Rapise to run tests on device clouds? So first, Rapise supports both local and cloud device testing. So you may use Rapise to run tests in your local environment on a mobile phone connected to your computer, and you may use Rapise with any cloud device providers that I listed above. So here you also have a freedom to switch between device cloud. So if you will change your mind and decide to switch from one device cloud to another, this is easy to do with Rapise. And all of those device clouds are also offering their own tools to create and execute tests. But with Rapise, you have very good test management features when Rapise is coupled with the SpiraTest. And also with Rapise, you can do hybrid testing. So you may, in your scenario, you may do some mobile actions. Also, you may perform some actions on the web version of your application or desktop version of your application. You may connect to some service using REST or SOAP APIs. So your testing scenario, end-to-end testing scenario, may be pretty complex and span across different types of applications. Also, Rapise has a visual language, and you can use it for scriptless testing, so when no coding skills are required. When you are going with the tools provided by Device Cloud, then very likely you will just need to write your tests in Java or some similar language. Okay, so with that said, I can proceed to a demonstration part of this webinar. So you will have some feeling how to record and execute mobile tests and how to connect to a Device Cloud and how to orchestrate it using Spira. So here I will use a ready application, Crate, and this application has a mobile client, web client, and it also provides REST API. And I will also use a sample framework that we created recently. It is published on GitHub. And this framework already has some tests implemented. So let's minimize our presentation. And from now on, I will switch off my camera to save some network bandwidth. So just a second. Okay, so let me show you where you can get the application that I will be showing you right now, and where you can get the framework if you will decide to replicate something that I'm showing here yourself. So here is the application. It is hosted, its sources are stored on GitHub. So it's great. Here is the URL here at the top. And as I already said, this application has a desktop web interface, and it also has a mobile client for iOS and Android. And it also provides a REST API. And this is the repository hosted by Inflectra, where we have the framework that you may clone yourself and play with it. So we have some guidelines how to connect it to your instance of Crate that you will run, and how to execute sample tests that are included into this framework. So let me minimize the browser. Here I have this framework opened, and one of the test cases implemented here is TC login. And let me open the testing scenario here. And here you may see that this scenario is hybrid. So it has some parts that are interacting with the REST API of this application to delete the user in the system and create a user in the system. And then the rest of the testing scenario is a mobile test. So here we are doing a screenshot on a device. Then we are performing the login and checking that login is successful. So let me run this test so you will see how it looks like during execution. My framework is connected to my SpiraTest account. So I will be running it on the device cloud. So let me switch to device cloud view. And on the SpiraTest, I may see all the devices on which I am currently running my tests. So I can hit play here. And soon we will see that SpiraTest will reserve a device for me and will start executing my test. So while this device is provisioned, I want to mention that in our knowledge base of Rapise, we have knowledge base articles explaining how to connect to device clouds that I just mentioned. So here I have opened an article about how to connect to the SpiraTest and how to connect to browser stack, how to connect to Python, and how to connect to South Labs. You may easily find those articles in our knowledge base by simply searching for word mobile or by searching the name of the device cloud. So, our test is executing. So, SpiraTest provides us the capability to see what's happening on the device, which is really handy and good for demonstration purposes at least. So our test is done. And after execution, we have the execution report. And here we can see all the actions that Rapise performed. And we can see some screenshots that Rapise has taken along the way. So let's see how this framework is connected to the SpiraTest device cloud. So you may notice that in the top right corner, I have a drop down for mobile profiles. And let me open the current mobile profile here. Mobile profile is a collection of capabilities that Rapise passes to Appium that is used under the hood to connect to the device cloud. And here you need to provide the URL for your device cloud, probably provide some information about the application you want to install on the device and test. Some other things, automation name, new command timeout. This is very important setting. It means that if there is no any interaction with the device for this number of seconds, then we will not be automatically disconnected by device cloud. So this setting is good when you are recording your test. We will do this very soon. And here, let's see, for the C test, you may see here in this tree of capabilities that there are sections devoted to specific device cloud. So this is the section for C test, and this is the section for Kbyton, South Labs, and there are some specific settings for browser stack as well. Here we go. And almost all their device clouds require you to pass some kind of an access key and the username and some properties that are identifying the device that you want to run your tests on. So those capabilities are documented by the device cloud providers. You may find that information there, and simply enter into the mobile profile in Rapise. And this is the way how you statically provide this information. It is hard-coded into mobile profile, and it is not something that you may then change. If you want to change it and provide the device information dynamically, then Rapise has a special mechanism for that. So let me go to user.js file. So if you are familiar with the user.js, not familiar with the user.js file in Rapise, this is the place where we can put some JavaScript code required for test execution. And if you want to provide cloud device parameters dynamically, for example, depending on parameters passed to this test from Jenkins or from SpiraTest or from Azure DevOps, then here you need to define get APIum non-profile capabilities callback. And actually, this thing is described in great detail in the knowledge base as well. So how to define this function and where to place it. And this function is pretty simple in structure. So here we have an object with additional capabilities. Here we are checking the name of the profile. This is the profile selected here. And then we just specify the capabilities that we want to pass. So why I have this function here is because I have access key, so the password to access device cloud in an external file, config.json, and I'm using global get property to get this information and to dynamically assign it to capabilities that I'm using to connect to a device. So here is the section that I have for C-test, and also if you prefer to run it on the browser stack, you may see what capabilities are required to pass to the browser stack: the username, the access key, and the application that you uploaded to browser stack. Also, it's good to pass operating system version used to execute your test. I'm here in this demo, I'm running all tests on Apple devices, so on iOS. Okay, so this is the callback that can be used to dynamically pass in access information and device information to a device cloud. Okay, so let's see how we can record a very simple test. So here, a disclaimer that I'm using a beta version of Rapise 7 that will be released at the end of June. And in the Rapise 7, we have Spire dashboard completely reworked and reinvented. And I'm using it for the demonstration today. Currently, I'm looking at the TC login test of my testing framework. And now I want to go to the parent test of my framework. So doing it from the dashboard. Here we go. And for the mobile test, I have a template in this framework, and I'm simply going to clone it. Let's name it webinar demo. Here we go, and I can open it in Rapise. Yes, let's save the parent test. Here we go. So it was cloned from the template. So let's see what we have here. It is already configured to load mobile. I think that for this demo, we don't need things to connect to browsers and to work with the REST API. So I am simply leaving a mobile library here. Let's go to the RVL. So this is just the beginning of my test. I think I don't need it as well. Okay, so now I can hit record. Actually, let's go to the cloud. Recording in Rapise is done using SPI. So when I start recording, I need to click on the SPI button in the recording activity. Here we go. SPI starts disconnected. And to connect it to the device, I'm clicking Get Snapshot. And you may see that the C-test is now provisioning the device for Rapise. And after some time, when the device is ready and the application is installed on this device, we will see what's happening there. So take some time. So installing the application and preparing the device is usually the most lengthy operation. So device is ready and Rapise is now loading the snapshot. Should be ready soon. Let's see. Okay, so this is what we have in our SPI. On the right side, we have a screenshot. And this screenshot is interactive. For example, if I will click on some element here, Rapise will find it in the hierarchy of elements, in the tree of elements on the left. When some element here is selected in the middle, we can see its properties. And so since we don't have physical access to the device, we need to somehow to send interactions to it. And to do this from the web SPI, we may use the toolbar at the top. So this is the second row of buttons here. So I'm going to send tab to click on this button. And we may see that it was clicked on the device. Okay. And you may see in the recording activity that my interaction was recorded. So let's now enter some information. I'm hitting send keys here. And Rapise will enter the text into this field. And you can see that send keys was recorded by Rapise. So the same is for the password. So sending keys. So we will record just one more action, hitting the submit button. And then I will finish recording. Okay, click in submit and tap. So as a result, we have 4 actions recorded. Clicking on account, entering username, password, and clicking submit. So if you don't like the name of the object that was recorded, you may change it right here. So save, and this one was password. Save and finish. Now Rapise disconnects from releasing the device, and we can insert our steps here. And this is our very simple test. We may change it. For example, to add a screenshot at some point, we need to use global object iOS, since it's iOS testing, and it has do screenshot action. And let's also do one more screenshot at the end. Here we go, and now we are ready to run our very simple test. So I'm simply hitting play. So hopefully it will work. Sometimes strange things happen during demos, but this time I'm sure everything should be fine. Really takes some time to provision the device and install the application. So when this execution is done, we will proceed to the section where we will be running our tests in parallel on several devices. So first, I will do this using Rapise, and then I will show you how it looks like from a SpiraTest standpoint. So if you do not know what is SpiraTest, SpiraTest is application lifecycle management solution from Inflectra. So this is also our product. So execution was okay. We can see the screenshots. We can see all the steps here. So what we recorded really worked. Let's check our presentation. For the case I forgot something. So I showed you how to specify APM options. So we recorded and executed a simple test. And now we will orchestrate execution to run our tests on multiple devices. So I have a special test prepared for that, and this test name is parallel run. So this test itself is pretty simple. Let's open it. I am reminding that you may find this framework on the GitHub and get a local copy and do anything you want with it. So let's go to RVL file of our parallel run test. So this parallel run test is actually a dispatcher. So it has one input variable, input parameter, the name of the test to run. So by default here, we are running login test. And here I have a bunch of options that I may pass to RVL do play test parallel action. So RVL do play test parallel action receives a table with the parameters, and it also receives the name of the test to run. So, for example, here I am passing SpiraTest Rapise table, and you may see this is the first table defined here. Let's look at this table in more details. So the first column here must be thread, and this is the name of the parallel thread of our execution. So it can be any, the name here can be any, they simply must be different. And here I am just using the version of iOS used for execution. And other columns are just parameters that are passed to every thread executing a test. So since here I'm using the C test, I may pass the device query. This is a capability that provisioned by C test. And also I may pass some information specific for my test, the username and email to use and user password. So this is actually a table that will be used to run my tests in parallel on 3 iOS devices and 3 iOS versions. So there is a similar map for browser stack, but I will use the one for the C test. So let's run this test. So I'm hitting play from Rapise. And you may see the dashboard where you can see the parallel threads executed by Rapise. So every thread is running a login test on a corresponding device with a corresponding iOS version. And in the C-Test Cloud, you may see all those 3 devices and our tests executing in parallel. From what you can see on the screen, you may notice that the test is running faster on lower versions of iOS. So the fastest execution is on iOS 13.3. On the second place will be 14.0. So I don't know what's happening. With every new version, tests are running slower. But all of them are running in parallel. And as a result, we will have a test report where we will have, in this case, 3 sections. 1 section for every execution thread. So 13.3 is almost done, I think. And we may see here in the dashboard that the status of execution of this test is success. So 1 completed successfully, and we are waiting for 2 others. Okay, second one, and 14.1 is the slowest. It also completed, and this is our test report. You may see the right column thread. I don't know why I clicked it and sorted everything. And this column now has 3 sections, and we may see what was happening on the 13.3 and on 14.0 and on 14.1, and the screenshots from the corresponding devices. Okay, so we executed it from Rapise, but what if you want to schedule some regular execution, daily or weekly execution of our tests? So for this purpose, we may use SpiraTest. Now let me switch to SpiraTest. Now this is the SpiraTest, and here I have a project created specifically for this webinar. It's called Mobile Device Farm. And this project has a couple of test cases. So one of them is login and another one is sign up. And to every of these test cases, I linked my parallel run test. So actually, let me show you what I did. So here I have parallel run selected, and in Rapise 7 I can do this from the dashboard, link to a test case. In previous versions of Rapise, you may also use Save to Spira button when this test is opened. So let me click on it, link to a test case. Here I have the list of test cases to choose from. So I may choose the test case, click select, and this test case will be bound. So actually, let me create a test case myself, and I will show you how to link. So I will create a new test case, TC webinar demo. Okay, create. Here we go, and let's return to the dashboard view and choose link to a test case, selecting this test case and clicking select. I have all the files in the Git repository, and it has been detected automatically by Rapise. And Rapise asks me, do I want to leave all the files in Git and clone the repository for execution, or I want to put my files and store them into Spira? I want to leave my framework in Git because this is the best option. And here I will click yes, and will link my test. When the test is linked, you may see the test case ID here. So I may click it and open in Spira. So this is our test case that we just created, and it is linked to parallel run test. If I want to link it to more than one test case, this case with the parallel run is a special one. So normally you link one Rapise test to one test case, but in this case, since parallel run is a dispatcher, we may want to link it to several test cases. If you want to link it to some other test case as well, first you need to go to test Spira properties and unlink it. And this is the local operation. It just removes link information from the SSTest file. What's stored in Spira is not affected. So let me click on link. Okay. And it is not linked anymore, but if we will go to Spira and refresh, the linkage is still here. Okay, let's go to our test cases. So to instruct parallel run to execute a specific test, we define a parameter where we have the path to the test to run. If we will open this in Spira, you may see this parameter here. So if you used Spira integration, you know that this is a generic test case parameter defined here. Okay, so let's now go to a test set that we are going to execute. So I will go to the list of test sets. I have two of them, and one of them is to run the tests on this host that I'm currently demonstrating. So let's go into this test set. It will run on host nightly. This is my host that I'm presenting. And so to execute my tests, I need to specify some additional information. I see that it is missing Git URL, and I am going to fix it quickly. So let's go to another host that was used for preparation of this demo. I will simply copy the Git URL. This is a public repository. Git URL is sufficient. You don't need username and password. And let's go to nightly. And oh, the URL is here. It was not displayed, but it is here. Okay. So we may now run it. I may run it, schedule execution of this test from Spira, or I may run it immediately from Rapise. So let me open the list of test sets, go to action column and choose execute. And it will now start executing my test. Here we go. While it is running, let's return to the test set, and I want to go to attachments section. And here I want to show that the configuration file that contains the access keys, the username, URLs for the create application, it is an attachment to this test set. And also the test metrics that contains, so let me actually open it. So you will see what information it contains. This is the same table of threads to use to execute a single test. So it means that if you want to run your tests on different groups of devices, you may specify this information either in RVL, like here, or you may get this information from the Excel file attached to a test set. So it will allow you to have different test sets running tests on different groups of devices. So in some cases, it may be convenient. So here you may see that this is the table of devices where to run the test. So here I have one sheet name for browser stack and another C test. So our test is running. And when the execution is complete, we will see the report of execution right inside Spira. So we can go to the test runs section. So, and here we will shortly see our test report. So when everything will be green here. So let's see, almost done. Okay. Almost finished. Disconnecting from the device. Okay. And let's go to the test runs, refresh. And this is the TC login that we just executed. So I can go into it. And see the test report. So looks like some network issue from this virtual machine. So let's refresh the view. Okay, Here we go, and this is our execution report with the screenshots and all the steps. And when Rapise 7 is out and ready, you may also see the same test run report inside Spira dashboard. So I will go to test runs page here. This is the list of my test runs. I may expand it. And here I have the links to all the screenshots, to the execution log, and this is the same report with all the steps. If I want to see a screenshot, I may simply click it, and it will be opened in a separate browser window. Okay, so I think that this is all for the demo part. Thanks everyone for joining this webinar today. I hope to see you in our next webinar devoted to Rapise 7 in a month from now. Thanks again and have a good day. Bye-bye.